Welcome to the world of Carry On. In this series, we're going to take a look behind the scenes at how some of the greatest Carry On films were ever made. We continue our journey now with the 15th Carry On in the series, Carry On Doctor. But first of all, let's meet the cast, who will be providing the laughs. Frankie Howerd as Francis Bigger. Kenneth Williams as Dr. Kenneth Tinkle. Sidney James as Charlie Roper. Charles Hawtrey as Mr. Barron. Jim Dowell as Dr. Jim Kilmore. Hattie Jakes as Lavinia, the matron. Peter Butterworth as Mr. Smith. Bernard Bresslaw as Ken Biddle. Barbara Windsor as Nurse Sandra May. Joan Sims as Chloe Gibson. And Anita Harris as Nurse Clark. This film would be the second in the series to have a medical theme. Frankie Howerd makes his first of 2 appearances in the film, and Hattie Jakes returns for the first time since Carry On Cabby 4 years earlier, while Barbara Windsor returns after her debut in Carry On Spine 3 years earlier as well. It also marks Anita Harris as her second and final appearance in the series. Filming began on the 11th of September to the 20th of October 1967, and with a quick turnaround it was released on the 21st of November of the same year. Production for the film wasn't easy for Sid James, or the producer Peter Rogers, as he wanted him for a main part. The problem was, Sid had suffered from a heart attack a few weeks before, which meant he was absent from the previous film Carry On Follow That Camel. But luckily enough, because most of his screen time was in the bed, it gave him plenty of time to recover, so he could work and recover at the same time and not miss the film. So without further ado, let's find out what the film is all about. It starts with Francis Bigger, played by Frankie Howerd, a charlatan faith healer who is convinced that mind over matter is more effective than medical treatment. During this lecture, he falls off stage and is admitted to the local hospital. Once he gets there, he believes he's been mistreated and can't stand the other eccentric patients that are around him. He's surrounded by Charlie Roper, who shams illness to stay in the hospital. Ken Biddle, played by Bernard Bresslaw, who makes frequent trips to the ladies' toilets just to flirt with a love interest in the female ward. You have Mr. Barron, who thinks he's going through a sympathetic pregnancy, and all under the watchful eye of 2 doctors, Dr. Kilmore, who is much more popular with the patients and loved by the beautiful nurse played by Anita Harris, Nurse Clark, while hospital registrar Dr. Kenneth Tinkle is disliked and detested by the patients, as the battle axe matron does her rounds, and whilst all this is going on, she is secretly holding a light for the wonderful Dr. Tinkle. Whilst that's all going on, Nurse Sandra May arrives at the hospital. She's only there for one reason, to show her intention to declare a love for Dr. Tinkle, who once treated her for tonsillitis and said things about her swollen glands. Oh, and not forgetting the kiss of life. After a secret rendezvous in Dr. Tinkle's room, Matron and Kilmore burst in. Matron throws Nurse May out of the hospital, and Dr. Tinkle worries for the safety of his job. So, Matron and Dr. Tinkle hatch a little plan together in order to get rid of Kilmore and Sandra May in case they reveal the truth. At this point, Nurse May decides to get a little bit of sun on the hospital roof. Unaware to Dr. Kilmore and Nurse Clark, they think she's going to throw herself off the roof after what had happened. Kilmore rushes to save her and climbs on the roof. Nurse May gets a little bit freaked out by it and decides to scream. At this time, Dr. Kilmore has put himself in more danger because he can't get off the roof. Nurse Clark joins him on the roof and decides to try and help him, but when he accidentally rips her skirt off, he ends up crashing through a window into a nurse's bath. This gives perfect ammo now for Dr. Tinkle and Matron to sack Dr. Kilmore. Kilmore decides to resign, and with that he bids farewells to all the patients on the ward, who are very upset to see him go. Nurse Clark is very tearful at this point. So the patients revolt. The male patients decide to take it upon themselves to sort Dr. Tinkle out, and the girls take on Matron, trying to force a confession. Matron gets a rather nasty blanket bath, and Dr. Tinkle's torture is an ice-cold bath. However, he takes a cold shower every morning anyway, so it doesn't affect him. So they decide to take him off to the operating theatre, where they perform a rather unorthodox enema. Both sign the confession, and next day, Dr. Kilmore is appointed the new hospital register, while Tinkle is reduced to a simple doctor. Mr. Barron has been cured of his sympathetic pregnancy and his wife has given birth to a baby. But as Francis Bigger and his newly wedded wife Chloe, they decide to have a little argument on the way out of the hospital. Rather than suffer all this problem when he gets back home with his new wife, he deliberately falls on a step and injures his back again, and basically remains in the hospital for as long as he physically can. In the typical rare occasions that the Carry On films left Pinewood Studios, they did actually go out on location for this film, particularly Maidenhead Town Hall, which was used as the hospital. It wasn't the first time that this building was used or dubbed to be a hospital. The 1963 film Doctor in Distress used it for exactly the same thing. And it wasn't the last time that the Carry On team were going to use it. They also used it again as a hospital for Carry On Again Doctor. It would later dub up as a university in Carry On Behind. The film was the third biggest general release hit at the box office in 1968. Carry On Doctor is perhaps regarded by the fans as being the best medical Carry On film, just narrowly missing out to Carry On Nurse. It also wouldn't be the last time that the Carry On team would visit the medical profession. It proved so popular with the fans that 2 more subsequent films were made around that subject. The film has a stellar cast. It is full of laughs, innuendos and double entendres. Everything that you need in a Carry On is in this Carry On. And it was the start of the peak of the Carry On films. The next few films after this would really set the cinemas alight. The Carry On films were unstoppable at this point. So that's Carry On Doctor. Until next time, carry on laughing.